Thank you very much. Thank you, Don. I guess I can use the newborn as an excuse, but in truth, you'll have to pardon the notes because I'm really never really polished enough to go off script. So, but thank you all for having me. It's exciting to be here with you. I always hold your industry in high regard. I am a attorney by profession and now just a humble public servant, but my bachelor's degree, what I spent my majority of my time in Morgantown on is in journalism, so it's still very special for me. Thank you. Actually, my wife just got me yesterday. Yesterday was actually my anniversary, and my wife got me this really cool thing. It's a pen that some artisan makes. I don't know the guy's name, but he's local, and he goes and collects wood from buildings across the state. And she got me a pen made of wood from Martin Hall because she knows that's my favorite building at WVU. So, well, I'll start just by saying, yes, I'm new in this position, but I have been working for about a year at Commerce with former Secretary Ed Gaunch, which was truly the joy of my career so far to this point. And it's really an honor to pick up the baton from him and continue working to grow the department and to help move the state forward. The Department of Commerce is a conglomerate of really a wide variety of agencies that do a lot of different things, but what they all have in common is that they are focused on creating and facilitating a thriving economy and also protecting our state's natural resources as we move forward in that endeavor. I am happy to share, I know your all's focus of this event is on the future. I'm happy to share that I am extremely optimistic. I believe that we have a bright future, and I think there's a lot of indicators currently as to why we have a bright future. West Virginia is experiencing a lot of positive events in the last few years. We are thriving in a lot of ways. This year alone, we've had over $3 billion in economic development investments from industries that are coming into the state that have identified that we are the right place for them to do business and to employ our people and to provide a better life for our citizens that are going to be employed by them. We really feels like there's a lot of momentum on our side from that. This, I think, is due to a lot of things. The least of which is, our great workforce. One of the best things we could do to improve our economic outlook is to improve our workforce participation rate, which is traditionally, one of the lower in the country. However, that has been slowly improving over the last about approximately 5 years. But when our people are in the workforce, they are amongst the best and the most valued in the country. One of my favorite statistics that we are selling more than ever now to interested employers is that the West Virginian worker, particularly in manufacturing jobs, has the lowest turnover rate in the country. So once our people get in a job, they feel valued, they are hard workers, and they stay in it, which is a huge attractive fact for employers. We have done a lot of things over the last few years, primarily through legislative efforts to improve our legal and regulatory environment. We are now recognized by business facilities as the best business climate of all of our surrounding states, and we were ranked the 10th best business climate in the nation in 2021. We're also very financially sound. As everyone's aware, we've had record revenue numbers. That's been going, obviously off the charts. We also have a $1 billion rainy day fund, which signals financial stability to everyone in the outside world. One of the main highlights I'd like to hit on is, from my role, one of our largest agencies is DNR, which includes state parks. We have really put a focus on our outdoor adventure opportunities in the state, which has driven the economies in multiple parts throughout the state. We have made thanks to the legislature and the governor's leadership, we have made over approximately close to $200 million worth of investments into our state parks, our mountain bike trails, our fish hatcheries, which is a very underrated aspect of our economy throughout the state. Fishing is a nearly $1 billion industry within the state, and one of the drivers of that is what DNR does with our fish hatcheries, and it really goes overlooked. But the governor has made a point to make sure we're investing in those, keeping them operating effectively, and expanding them where we can. We're also doing a lot for our forest management through the Division of Forestry, timbering in very responsible ways that not only help prevent forest fires that you see in other parts of the country, but also promote a healthy habitat of wildlife. I will highlight a few things where I see us going that will help drive us into the future. First, one of the main focuses of what we do in commerce and through our other economic development efforts is, we have to be ready to adapt to this modern economy. We have done a lot, and there's been a huge focus, especially since the pandemic, on remote workers. I truly believe West Virginia is a destination place for remote workers. And in order to capitalize on that, though, we have to be able to provide these people with the capabilities to do that job, which has led us to an even greater focus, of which has already been a large focus, which on broadband expansion. We're investing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars over the next few years and over the last couple of years in expanding high-speed broadband access throughout the state. A good example of the remote worker programs that we've done is the Ascend program, which has been off the charts successful. I was actually surprised to learn the extremely high income level of the folks that are coming into the state. We had, for the first time recently, which was debated somewhat, for the first time in years, net inward migration, which is I think a indicator that what we're doing is working, and hopefully we need to continue to capitalize on what it is we have done. We also need to continue the transition and embrace of an all-the-above energy economy. I'll point out all the exciting things that are happening with the hydrogen hub, of which we're at Commerce very active in, and also I think in the coming months more and more of that will be developed. That could lead to a historic and literally transformative development for the state. And it's not just our folks in the state, really our congressional leadership has spearheaded to work on this, being, keeping West Virginia the focus, but making it a project that is bringing in folks from across our local region. Again, we will, hopefully we'll continue to be the focus of whatever happens with that, but it's really a monumental effort from not just folks in the state, but from the industries and officials from throughout the region. There's a lot of development that we've assisted on when it comes to emerging carbon technologies. I think it's worth highlighting a business that we helped get off the ground, Omnis Building Technologies. They're just one example of ways that we can take our natural resources, such as coal, and develop cutting edge technology to help in other areas, not just energy production. They take byproducts from coal and turn it into building materials, and it is very effective, and they are proving that it can be done economically and successfully. Advanced manufacturing is a focus that we've placed on it, especially including battery manufacturing. There was the company Sparks that was announced, and I will predict that they are just the first of a few. There are other currently unannounced prospects in that field, and it's going to be a rapidly expanding manufacturing sector over the next decade. Also, hand in hand with that is electric vehicle manufacturing. Again, we have had an announcement with green power, but again, there are also other areas within that industry that are interested in West Virginia. You know, we provide a lot of benefits. You know, not just our workers, not just, you know, our business environment, but also from a narrative standpoint from them. You know, we are here to embrace them, and you know, these folks are eager to embrace us. Nucor was obviously the, you know, the belle of the ball, one of the biggest stories at the beginning of the year. They are full steam ahead. You know, they have started, you know, acquiring property, you know, getting ready to construct. They're being active in the community. One thing that I think went under acknowledged from them is how advanced their technology is, and how you know, innovative of a company they are. They are North America's largest recycler, which is I think an incredible thing for us from the as a state to be able to attract them and to contribute with their mission. We need to continue embracing entrepreneurship and innovation. There's been a lot of emphasis from some folks in the legislature on that, and it's something that we have, you know, I wouldn't say struggled with historically, but you know, we need to put a greater focus on that. Our institutions of higher education have really been a driver in our focus to encourage that. Also, programs that have been proposed, and some of which have passed, to help us allow the state to provide more resources to, you know, jumpstart companies, and you know, help facilitate emerging technologies, and allow access to the businesses in the state to other markets. So those are the three areas that I really see as key to continuing to move forward. Again, we as a state, I believe, have a lot of reasons to be optimistic, and I strongly believe that that is an important thing to keep in mind, is that optimism breeds progress. You know, we can't achieve anything if we don't believe we can achieve it, and sometimes in our state, I'm afraid we lose track of that too much. You know, there's a lot of reasons for us to celebrate, and I think we should do that more and more. So that's all I have. I'll be happy to take some questions.
I'll start, and I'll have the other couple of questions. But the batteries, is there a reason that they're looking that we have one and others are looking at West Virginia? What's the attraction? Is there something special, or is it just you guys doing a good job of reaching out?
We've made a strong effort of reaching out. We have the strong manufacturing workforce. The characteristics of our people are attractive to them, and I also think there's an incentive for folks in the renewable space to look at states like West Virginia, who have taken such a hit from the attack on coal and fossil fuels. I think there is, which is a good thing for them to think, okay, well, let's go there and see if we can help them with their economy, while also knowing that we are the best place for them to do business. So it's a good acknowledgement from them. You know, regardless of whatever the optics are, they wouldn't be coming here to do business if it wasn't good business.
Very good.
Additionally, in their, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Carol.
Congressional language that all the batteries have to be made in America. I believe in Joe Manchin's bill.
I have not seen the specifics of that. I have heard the same thing. I don't want to speak to the specifics if I haven't read it directly.
But I think that's something that Senator Manchin's been pushing as
yes.
well. If the batteries are all made here, then that's going to be good for everyone.
Stephen Allen Adams from Parkersburg.
Yeah, congrats to you and Megan.
Thank you.
By the way, one thing I've been curious about ever since the economic development split off into its own cabinet agency is just how well you all are working together, because obviously I feel like they kind of, for lack of better phrasing, took some of the sexier parts of what you all do, but you still have a lot of important agencies within commerce that do very important things. how's the relationship between both? And I mean, you've talked about a number of things that you are been doing with business recruitment, and I think there's obviously kind of a redundancy between both. So how's that work out between you all?
It's worked out beautifully, to be frank, and there really is no redundancy. The Commerce continued to provide all administrative functions for both the Department of Economic Development and the Department of Tourism. So up until I was appointed acting secretary, for the past year I served as Deputy Secretary of Commerce and also the General Counsel of Commerce. Well, as General Counsel of Commerce, I was also serving as General Counsel to the Department of Economic Development and Tourism. So there has been constant, basically, interplay where offices are essentially right beside each other. As far as operationally speaking, nothing negative has happened or changed in that aspect. Essentially what was the director of the development office is now just a cabinet level position, and the same with tourism. The governor's belief in that, which is absolutely correct, is that puts a focus on those, that when that official goes and meets with these people, that hey, even though the governor always essentially operated this way, but it just sends the message across the world that when Mitch Carmichael goes and talks to a Fortune 500 company, hey, I'm the secretary, like I have the governor's ear, I'm his economic development guy. And what was taken out of there really was definitely, I think you're correct, sexier, but a small percentage of what Commerce did when it was all together. I think there were approximately, when it was all together, approximately 3,000, maybe a little over, Commerce employees. Now, under me and Commerce currently, I think there's approximately 2,600. Could be off on that, but that's what I believe. DNR focuses on our wildlife, our outdoor resources, our state parks, which is a huge economic driver. Workforce, which has remained in Commerce, is focused, and what Secretary Gonch did a fantastic job of, that I'm hoping to continue, is making sure that they are an employment agency, not just an unemployment agency. We do a lot with workforce development through them, which is obviously necessary for our economic development efforts.
If I can do a quick follow-up too on that, because I think that's an interesting point. The governor just appointed a workforce resiliency officer. You have the committee that's working with higher ed and the hiring agencies to try to figure out ways to coordinate all their services versus have separate things going on. And then with what you're talking about in regards to workforce being an employment agency, you're talking about the future. It's what the theme of this is. So with that coordination going on, do you see this as a real effort to, and as you said, we've improved on the workforce participation rate, but it's still one of the worst in the country. Do you think these efforts are a good chance of taking a real crack at that and bringing that number up?
Absolutely. I mean, that is, one of the key purposes. We have already seen benefits be derived from that. All those things you listed are not separate and apart from each other. Workforce and myself, even as deputy secretary and then now as secretary, we're involved in all of those things to help coordinate what we're doing and what, say, higher ed and DHHR are doing to help with those and to better align them, which will yield not just more coordinated efforts, but more effective efforts, because we can align resources and not, be walking all over everyone.
Perfect. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Autumn, do you have a question?
Well, I think Matt had a question.
Matt?
I actually just had a quick question. You had mentioned the Ascend program. What level of involvement did your department have with that?
I really, honestly, I don't think I can really speak to that too much, because it was really off the ground when I came in. And I will essentially give, from my involvement, has been very hands-off in a way, really just getting updates and learning what they're doing. Secretary Chelsea Ruby, who I believe spoke to you all last night, has been the most involved in it and has done tremendous work with it. So I wouldn't even try to give you an answer on that program because it wouldn't be nearly as effective. I would go ask her and follow back up with you.
And James, if I can, when Ascend was just starting, and I think Stephen was on the call, and probably Chris too, the Press Association hosted and helped organize a media presentation on Ascend, and I'll extend that offer to you in your new role as you get ready and you say, we'd like to really, whether it's DNR or any of the other areas
Yeah.
that you want to say, okay, we saw what Ascend did and how you handled that, can we work with you? And I know that our folks would be glad to be involved in something like that.
Be great.
Other questions? Chris? Oh,
Did
I'm
you
sorry.
have one?
Autumn?
I did, I was just gonna ask if you had any inside knowledge that maybe we don't know about the Mountain Valley Pipeline, Mountain State Pipeline?
I do not. Yeah.
And does anybody think he would tell us if he did? No, good question. I like it, but that smile was like, I don't know.
No, you. I probably would, which may not be a good thing, but yeah, I don't. I'm very curious about it. I'll say that.
I will say James has always been very media friendly at the Capitol, but also media aware.
Yeah.
So Chris.
So, we've heard transformative for a few projects that weren't. So what's gonna be transformative about a hydrogen hub, and what do you think the chances really are that we'll get it?
Well, I won't speak to the chances that we get it because I don't have. I'm not nearly confident in my predictive abilities to give an answer for that. I would say I'm optimistic and I like our chances. I think from what I've heard, we are bringing more to the table. We have a more organized effort than other states, and we have folks involved who are determined to make it happen for us. I think we're ahead of the game when it comes to our hydrogen hub efforts. So I like our chances. What would be transformative about it is it would create I mean this very figuratively, but an epicenter of an emerging technology in West Virginia. You have to think of it not as a hub as in here's one big facility where all of these things are happening. There would be one, but there would also be other big facilities located throughout the state and perhaps even some other just connected to it regionally where the technologies essentially feed off of each other. There's things like energy storage that will be a component of it. Of course, there's the main component is using hydrogen to create, energy. But there are more industries that come off of that that would be connected, not just, as feeders to it, but literally directly connected to it, to the secondary benefits of that than I can even intelligently discuss.
And so, following up on that, what might be put in place to avoid what happened in a similar fashion with the natural gas industry when we were told there were gonna be all those follow-ons and 2 cracker plants have not happened now. So what is there a way to kind of make some of that almost be forced to come in along with the hydrogen hub?
I was never involved in one of those cracker projects, so I don't know what went wrong or what happened. What I can tell you is you would never hear from me that there is a hydrogen hub coming unless there is a hydrogen hub coming. From what I understand, that might have been some of the problems, with cracker plants in the past. I think there were also, maybe even more than that, there were, outside, market economics that went into play. I can't tell you for sure what the difference would be other than you'll never hear from me that there's a hydrogen hub coming unless I know that there is. Just like Nucor, I will point to our new, I would say a little bit of a difference that the governor has focused on is swinging for the fences, but also coming and speaking the truth that we know. We did our best to make sure nobody knew about Nucor until they were ready to break ground, essentially. So when you do hear something from this administration, I think in all likelihood it is happening, and I think we've proven that recently.
Matt, Autumn, anything else? Autumn? Okay. Brenda?
Have you found when you're courting industries or businesses or whatever, is there any reaction to our sort of, if not not progressive social programs or whatever, like that our legislature sort of promotes? A lot of the abortion bill and it seems that we tend to have a position, the legislature tends to have a position that is not conducive to attracting young people or higher technology sort of people to the state. And I was just wondering if that is any concern when you're courting business.
I mean, I can tell you personally that I have not. That has not happened to me. I'm not, the sole person who's involved in that at all times. Those are obviously very complicated, delicate, controversial issues that the governor and the legislature, the people that our citizens have elected, are attempting to sort out. What I do is focus on what our mission is and what we do at Commerce, with our activities. And at this point, that is all still, I guess, the specific issues you mentioned are still being, developed and worked out. But it's not something that we're facing alone as a state. It's happening all across the country, and happening all across the country in states with, very active and successful, economies.
Other questions? All right, with that, I want to say, from my point, it's refreshing to get good answers, but also get the answer says, I'm not the guy, or I can't say. I think everyone in the room probably can say, oh, that's, we've had speakers at times, not this year, but we've had speakers at times who have said, give us a political answer. And I really think it was informative and refreshing to hear good, solid answers. So a round of applause, please.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Don. And I just to reassert, no way mean to punt. I know that's not what you were referring to. It's just my training, especially as a legislative attorney, which some of you know is I don't answer questions that I don't know the absolute answer to. So, thank you.
We do appreciate it.